Welcome to the system. I hope you're doing well, everybody. Today I wanted to talk about the idea. You see, there was an idea for a team and a family made up of misfits, abandoned by those who raised them, who teach each other, love each other, yell at each other, all for a world that hates and fears them. Showing sheer positivity to those people who consider tolerance as extinction. Embracing a hateful world is what we do every day on our version of Earth. We may not all be queer and made of ice, but a lot of us are still the first part and are in that minority that no matter what makes us different. But it's actually insane to argue about indifference like that because, well, we're all our own unique soul. Sometimes I like to think that Bobby Iceman Drake would have gone to GSA meetings in high school and made flurries of snow in front of his friends to cheer them up. But anyway, one of my favorite episodes of the original series is when the lead up to Apocalypse is happening and Mystique is masquerading as this good doctor that invented a so-called cure to take away mutant powers forever. This is because it is, of course, a rogue-centric episode, and it focuses on how she would, of course, immediately go for this cure because of the fact that, due to her powers, she can't touch another human being, ever. It's an episode that says there's no cure for being who you are, to paraphrase Rogue herself.
But I thought you wanted to be cured.
That's what I thought too, Doc. But there ain't no cure for who you are.
Then you must live forever in the prison of your mutant powers.
I am my powers.
An irrefutable fact that some people in the world often forget. We're all human anyway, but all differently so. There's no cure for our differences, but they make us bonded. Sometimes we can't feel what we're bonded to, but that's what makes it important. And that's where the ever so attractive, crop top wearing, beignet frying, reluctantly but at his heart of hearts heroic Remy LeBeau, aka Gambit, comes in to have our hearts both soar and break at the same goddamn time.
Gambit, see your bet and raise it. The cards always be in my favor.
Mutant intruder neutralized.
The name's Gambit, mon ami. Remember it.
Sugar. I can't feel you.
Genosha. An incredible tragedy. Before we cried at the unfortunately still relevant themes of injustice and unheard genocides, we felt at home with our mutant friends. We felt at home. Recently, I saw a post on Instagram showing a collection of love letters from queer Palestinians left in Gaza after the latest bombings happened recently. Long letters short, they were describing wishing they spent more time with their lovers, or even confessed to their best friends, lovers, crushes, and even partners. Wishing they were home with them, of course being their comfort home. Some lovers were described as dead or simply too far away to reunite and make up. In the world of the X-Men, some lovers are too far away, but at such a close distance, before intolerance comes to take them away from us. And when the woman who has some comic relief in both versions of the show, with her southern drawl and back and forth with her smog rat Remy, Captain Marvel-powered Rogue declares that she can't feel her true love, but only in death is when she realizes that he is. We all sobbed at this realization of hers. But moments like that don't tarnish the grab a hearty bowl of cereal and watch the Saturday morning X-Men show feel, but it does change it for the better. It's because, just like the original in the early to late 90s, certain episodes more than others serve as reminders for those of us in this life that are much less tolerant of those of us that have, for the sake of this video, certain mutations in us that make us different than the norm. Sorry, I couldn't resist that pun.
Bruh. Look at this dude. Wait till you see the... No.
Okay. Different from the people of the past who were grown and raised to hate us and fear us.
Accomplished tonight is a warning to all mutants of what the future holds for them. Tomorrow belongs to humanity, a humanity cleansed of this foul mutant disease. Here's one of them, a mutant. What should we do with her?
Get rid of her! It'll be one less mutant freak!
You've heard the verdict. The normal people have spoken.
You call this bunch of sickos normal? Why do you hate us? What did we ever do to you?
You were born.
Jubilee, the kind and old soul who was saved from adoptive parents who tried but failed to understand her and her sparkle. That's why I adore her and Logan's mentor and student, older brother and younger sister relationship in this universe. They both care for each other deeply, as they both know how it feels like to be lost. Not to be abandoned by the future like the solar-powered Scott Summers, aka Cyclops, but to be completely abandoned by their pasts, time and time again.
Another way. I won't be like my father. I won't abandon my son.
We said we'd give him the best possible future. It's what we promised.
Don't any of you know how it feels to be abandoned?
I thought we were friends.
I'm sorry, Wolverine. I had no choice.
There's always a choice. You're the one who taught me that.
Tracks are still fresh.
I will not see any more mutants die.
Roberto.
My mom handed me over to the Prime Sentinels, Jubilee. They collared me. My own family. What's left here?
Me?
The offer was made. The door is open.
Abandonment issues are a thing I so intimately relate to that even though I've since healed from most of my trauma tied to it, it's hard not to be so connected to bonds like theirs.
It was hard for her. A telepath who could not trust her own memories, who fears the past as much as the future.
I should have reached out to her. With the psychic connection we shared, it's as if Madeline's memories are my own. It's odd. I see her son and I remember him kicking inside me. And Scott listening, and those cravings for oranges with cottage cheese. Just like I remember telling my friend Storm that I wanted him to be born human. And then I remember holding him for the first time, knowing human or mutant. He's perfect. But it's all a lie.
Memories are merely dim images echoing with emotion. Does it matter if you heard his first cries? If you remember how it felt to hear them?
But he's Madeline's blood.
I was abandoned by my mother Mystique as an infant. Despite our shared blood, I was too blue for her. Then, I met Rogue years later. We could have been enemies or strangers. Instead, unlike our mother, we chose not to abandon each other, to let go of the past, and simply be family. Blood is blood. Family is a choice.
Bonds like Morph and Wolverine, Magneto and Xavier, and of course, Storm and Jean. Even Jean and her clone Madeline Pryor, the Goblin Queen, who was absolutely serving cunt in this episode 3, by the way. But anyway.
Mommy?
Do I know Mommy?
Sorry, Mommy?
Because both marvelous ladies with the incredible power of their minds are connected, they are, in fact, sisters. Unconventionally so, but still family. They fight back against their abuser, Mr. Sinister, in their own unique yet similar ways, and their own flares. When Madeline and Jean were fighting over which memories of their own, still, after episode 3, when we all thought the battle between Jeans was over, and Scott was technically cheating on Jean, with Madeline over in Genosha, I was on Scott's side, as a lot of us were, with loving both versions of his wife, but I felt Jean's pain there. And when Madeline would read Aurora's goodbye letter in episode 2, I was heartbroken to think I was waving farewell to the bond of two sisters I felt so damn connected to. Or when she used the power of her mind to shoo away a Gambit charged up beignet out the window and make us laugh our asses off. But when she died in the fall of Genosha, Jean Grey, the one and only Marvel girl, her fighting style, her motivations for fighting, her reasons for staying with the family she was taken from, those all changed for the better. She was pulled back from this confusing pit of her identity and who she truly means to everyone, including herself, but also her son. Cable was really given his time to shine in X-Men 97, played by the original Gambit voice actor himself, which made his connection to Jean and the X-Men all the more powerful. Besides Nathan Charles Summers, everyone was given their due and their time to shine in this continuation. Surprise cameos that felt like they had more time than they actually did, and just overall the whole team and their skills. Somehow even more so than their original live TV run.
Hitching a ride to Asteroid M. Just when we started working well together.
Look, if I had it my way, I'd be on Isla Mirada with you and Jean instead of space. But she's...
Not my mother.
It's confusing to me too, you know. Jean, Madeline. But what I know for certain is that they're two of the strongest people I've ever known. Trust her. And... son.
Let me guess. Be careful?
No. Give him hell. Oh, hey. Almost forgot.
Am I going to war or a circus?
What'd you expect? Black leather?
Do you actually go outside in these things? What would you prefer? Yellow spandex?
When Scott was crying with his visor off and screaming with all of his strength and adoration for his family after seemingly saying his second and last goodbye to his only son, we all cried with him. And when Aurora and Jean were holding back the same asteroid that Sebastian tried to fly out of, with all of their strength and love for their family, with the incredible variation of the theme in the score done beautifully by the ever-talented Newton brothers, Andy Grush and Taylor Stewart, I was astonished. See what I did there? It showed how even though Bastion is a cataclysmic level threat, an Avengers-level threat, the Astonishing X-Men can still work together and spare the world a dinosaur's fate, as Pete said when the world was literally crashing down on them.
But can you talk about where the origins of your version of Beast came from, of Hank McCoy?
Well, as in any actor's formation of a character, he bases it on his own experiences and his own personality. And the two of them seem to have really meshed, because a lot of the experiences that I had as a child of being bullied and everything like in that vein was very much the same tone that we were trying to portray in X-Men. So it wasn't that difficult to find that balance that Hank McCoy had, because I had the same problems as a kid, being bullied. But I was a big guy, so I was able to use what I had to defend myself. But I always found a way out of getting into any kind of an altercation by trying to settle the situation reasonably first, which is exactly what Hank McCoy does. But if it comes down to it, he can kick some butt.
To see the philosopher Nightcrawler and the lonely cowboy Wolverine both gracefully and viciously fight a shitload of Prime Sentinels, I mean a shitload, with nothing but their brotherhood that was formed in the Season 4 episode, titled by Kurt Wagner's very own hero moniker, I was stunned to see Logan growling at his enemies and Kurt elegantly bamf and land on top of them like a blue demonic knight. It was truly a gorgeous display of that dichotomy between the two stars of the show. And that's why the villains in this new 6th season were so good. There's of course Bastion, but there's also Executioner, the Prime Sentinels, and the threat of the Sentinels in general having an extreme presence here. There was of course the two, and Bolivar Trask.
Like when our village idiot Guy Rick made a martyr of Xavier, and tolerance. But really, guilt. So I hand humanity Genosha. Overload their bandwidth. Too much to compute. Because when your skin's not in the game, apathy's your answer.
Surprise cameos from my guys Doom and Zemo, as well as presumably a Black Widow or a Viper. Amazing villains overall that made it feel like there was truly no hope left for our mutant brethren and family. Because after all of their efforts, Logan and Wagner stare at the night sky in New York, baffled after all their might, couldn't defeat the enemy. It took a stronger companionship to save us, and that was found in Eric and Charles. They just didn't know it yet.
We came. I shall never understand you, Charles.
In what way?
Your life would be infinitely easier if mine were to end, yet you saved me.
I do not yearn for an easy life, Magneto. Only a just one. I would take little satisfaction in your death.
Two brothers that don't look at all alike, who, despite their efforts to get rid of each other for good, due to their differing views of mutant and human coexistence, at the story's core, between these two brothers, it's their differing views on the point of existence as a whole, when you're different, and people come after you. I love how in this new, more aged version of the series, we're allowed to see these two gods break down in tears, discuss their views, kick ass, and both look hella good while doing it. Hearing about tragedy and seeing it firsthand are two completely different things. And because of this season, I completely understand why Xavier's students would see Magneto more as their mentor and teacher, rather than the founder of the X-Men himself.
They shall be avenged!
However, despite the tragic inconvenience that Storm faced on the day of Magneto's speech, she still learned to fly again. I found that in this season with Roberto's introduction as Sunspot, and Storm's reintroduction after facing her demons both literally and figuratively, with the adversary and the help of Forge, who, by the way, is a sexy himbo who just wants to protect his goddess, and I respect the fuck out of him for that. But anyway, just like his old friend Charles taught him, when you help someone, you help everyone.
Something's wrong.
No matter how complicated the situation is, I can't tell you how incredible it was to see Storm, Aurora, to see her take flight like Christopher Reeve in Superman, or even Henry Cavill in his own movie. I felt like I was watching my sister descend from the heavens like thunder and lightning and the powerful breeze. In such a hopeless time for our heroes, it was truly breathtaking to see her have hope again and get her classic black costume. But soon after that moment, in Life Death Part 2, we see a lot more of the team gain their own semblance of hope for themselves. I think Storm overcoming her demons and coming back to the team like nothing's changed definitely helped inspire her family members. All their love for each other and shared trauma motivates them all in different ways. Like for Morph, they love Logan as more than a friend, and that unrequited love is what keeps them and Logan going in that very special moment in the finale, where Morph confesses their love to him.
I love you, Logan. Stay with me.
For Aurora, it's her love for Forge. For Magneto and Xavier, it was the love for their shared students. They couldn't let them down, not again, not this time. For two old friends have challenged each other to remember a more realistic view of Earth. How hateful it is, versus how it still stands because of how hopeful it is. And for Forge and Bishop, the future soldiers in arms. For those legends, as seen in their appearances on the original show, neither of them had any hope in their time whatsoever, but it was the one hope that the X-Men could save them back in their time, that saved these two men and made them X-Men in their own rights. For the future is never truly set. To them and to me are X-Men. They're an idea that we should be glad to have a voice in pop culture within a world that hates and fears the mutants of our own world. It's that core of everyone being a huge family in the universe that makes the corny brothers and sisters in yellow and blue spandex work since the 60s. And the stories of a family who fights together are told for hundreds of years.
That sort of ending, huh?
I'm afraid so.
Those rebel leaders I told you about in the future, rambling about the adventures of the X-Men, getting folks inspired. It pissed me the hell off. I belonged in those stories too, growing up, fighting alongside.
You were. You always were.
I'll tell you, those legends really didn't do my folks justice.
The day you were born, your mother told me you had my eyes.
They're good eyes.
And now they're yours. I love you, son.
Remember, the cards will always be in our favor.
Mutant intruder neutralized.
The name's Gambit, mon ami.
Excelsior and bye-bye. Love yourself.
Hi, heroes. This is Stan Lee coming at you. Want you to know, Marvel has always been and always will be a reflection of the world right outside our window. That world may change and evolve, but the one thing that will never change is the way we tell our stories of heroism. Those stories have room for everyone, regardless of their race, gender, religion, or color of their skin. The only things we don't have room for are hatred, intolerance, and bigotry. That man next to you, he's your brother. That woman over there, she's your sister. And that kid walking by, hey, who knows? He may have the proportionate strength of a spider. We're all part of one big family, the human family, and we all come together in the body of Marvel. And you're part of that family. You're part of the Marvel universe that moves ever upward and onward to greater glory. In other words, Excelsior!
Gute Freundin.
Oh, Kurt.
Indeed, it is I, sister. How do you feel now?
Well, bit of a headache, but I'll live. Remy's dead, but that don't mean I'm ready to accept it.
We all grieve in our own way.
You sure pulled the short straw in the adopted sister department, didn't you? Got the gal who goes bonkers over losing a boy.
Over losing too. And her confusion is only natural. But she did not cause Gambit or Magneto to be killed. She helped them live.
Bigot. Ingrate. Sycophant. Worm. Small, I could smite you with a step. There was a time I would smite you all for what was done to Storm. But today, I have saved you from your own. For an old friend has challenged me to remember this view of Earth. How vast it is versus how small we make it. Charles Xavier entrusted me with his dream, and it does not ask you to love or embrace my kind as your own, but merely to accept that this is a shared world, and that my kind, like yours, have the right to live in it. I am trying to be better. Do not make me let you down.